Everybody, Michael here, and I'm going to talk to you today about artificial intelligence and a lot of the cool things you can do with it as an educator. So let's get rocking here. Maybe it'll be so awesome, artificial intelligence that is, that it'll be your ultimate collaborator, creative partner, and unexpected friend. Now, a lot of us think of AI as a wizard of some sort, maybe like the Wizard of Oz here that can do just about anything. But the reality is when you pull back the curtain, it's more like having a 3-year-old. And this 3-year-old knows a little or sometimes a lot about a lot, but needs a lot of guidance. And so it's important to develop that skill of developing prompts to ask AI what to do, and then adding parameters around that prompt. But for now, we're just going to show you some of the cool things that AI can do because, of course, there is a million ideas. And of course, I used AI to help me design that graphic there. A lot of people like to use AI for their writing, which is a great way to go. You can just throw your writing in there and say, hey, improve it. Or if you add some parameters around there, you could say add more voice, make it sound like it's a 6th grade level or a college level, whatever you want there, shorter, longer, things like that. So that's a great start for using AI. But as a teacher, you can also use it to take any information you might find and adjust that reading level or to summarize it. So you can adjust it to a student's reading level, whether that's up or down or the same. Image generation is popular with AI and it's getting a lot better and has gotten a lot better recently. Now this is the older version of it. And you can see I asked Angry Cat sitting in a room full of gold to be drawn. It's done by Canva, which is cool. But today I asked it to take a picture of my dog here, Milo, and to see what he'd look like as a human. And this is pretty cool. It's got the tongue, it's even got the same background, and that human looks pretty realistic to me. And if you want to be nerdy, you could have an action figure about yourself. And this is where you have to add parameters. I had to tell it what I wanted to include in that action figure, but it knew what an action figure was. And after 2-3 attempts or so, I had the action figure that I liked. Emails, super popular reason to use artificial intelligence. As educators, we often will get these emails that might frustrate us a little bit, might make us upset. And rather than having to spend just a ton of emotional energy replying, you can paste that email into artificial intelligence like ChatGPT, for example, and then tell it how you want that email to go. Please give a nice neutral response. Please address these issues in these ways or whatever. And then it kicks back an email. And you can look at it and you can say, hey, that's pretty close to what I needed, and or I'll make a few little changes along the way. If you're doing ILPs or IEPs, unless you had the big bad wolf as a student, this is one that can be drawn for you. But on a more serious note, it will develop or create or draw or whatever you want to call it, IEPs that you can use as a template to start with. It may even be really good at it. And the better you are at communicating with AI and adding those parameters around your prompts, the better your IEP is going to be when it comes out the first time. But you can always go back and nag it a little bit to make it better. All right, let's get into a specific example. How about we were doing a research project, and what would we want to do that research project on? That's right, Iron Man. But let's not get too broad. Let's get something more specific, like let's know or learn about his origin story. So we're going to research Iron Man's origin story. And so I enter into ChatGPT in this case, asking it to give me a nice outline of the Iron Man's origin story. And it does, and it adds graphics and all that. So it's really helpful for me. And if I want to share it with my students, it's pretty helpful too. I asked it to create a visual of that information. And because Iron Man is a copyrighted character, it's an interesting limit of AI, it wouldn't draw Iron Man. And so it did an okay job. It took that information you found here and put it into that, which kind of sort of explains it. But later on, it's going to get better and you'll be able to have more comprehensive and clear graphics, including, cartoons, like cartoon strips. Here's a poem, sure. The Making of Iron Man is a poem. But what if I had a student who had a Lexile level of 145? There it is. That's what it would look like. Before and after. And I certainly could do this for any kind of reading material that I have. I can scan it, or if I find it on the internet, copy and paste it directly in here to AI and set it to whatever Lexile level I want. Now, movement is a great way for students to learn. And so I thought, wow, if I could create some games to explain Iron Man's origin story, that would be fantastic. So I said, hey, create some games for me. And after a little back and forth, it came up with these general games. Now, if I really liked, let's say, this one here, I could have asked it to give more rules, more details, or I could have said, hey, I have 20, 40, 10 students, make a game that is appropriate for that number of students and or maybe appropriate for a certain age level, such as 2nd grade or 7th grade or whatever you want to have it be. Now, we do love music, right? So what if we could explain Iron Man's origin story in the form of a song? Might be something like this. Let's listen.
He was born in a tower of tech and fame, built machines that carried his name. But a war gone wrong, a blast so loud, left him broken, hurt, and not so proud. Now he's flying high in a red gold suit, a heart of lion and a mind is true. He forged his strength with his own 2 hands, from a cave of fire to a hero, standing his Iron Man.
Oh, yes, it's Iron Man. So, yeah, that's a website called Suno, suno.com, that will allow you to create songs. I had it create a song about Iron Man. I had ChatGPT write the lyrics, but it created all of the music around it. I told it to make a country song with a few details. But if that's not enough for you, you can always do a video. Let's see what that looks like, especially if it was somebody familiar.
Billionaire and head of Stark Industries, known for building weapons and living a flashy, carefree lifestyle. What happens? While demonstrating weapons overseas, Tony is captured by terrorists. He's seriously injured by one of his own.
Now, you may have recognized that as Robert Downey Jr.'s voice, and that is me. It's just an image of me, and then AI goes ahead and moves me around and changes my mouth and all that. It can switch it to Chinese if I wanted, if I had students who needed something in a different language. You don't have to use you can use just whatever typical avatar it has. No worries. All right, let's say we wanted to interview a famous person like this guy, Robert Downey Jr. again. We could do that. We can ask ChatGPT to set that up so we can have a conversation. There's other websites like character.ai that will do something similar. And you can see here's my first question. How fun was it to wear the Iron Man suite? Did I misspell that? But it still figured out what I meant. That's the upside of AI and the downside, because you don't have to be as good a speller anymore. It just figures out logically that I wasn't talking about Iron Man's suite. I was talking about Iron Man's suit. So there's unlimited uses. Only your imagination is the limit. And if you find that you have a limited imagination, like most of us, you can always ask AI for help and ways to come up or ways to use AI as an educator. Lastly, I just want to talk about your future friend. If you've seen the movie Her, with Scarlett Johansson as Her, she was a robot, a virtual robot. Anyways, Replica.ai is pretty similar to what people experience in that movie. You can create a character with certain personality traits and then have verbal conversations with that character. That's just with the free version, so imagine what you could do with the paid version. Totally inappropriate for students, but is really interesting, for better or worse, again, to see what the future of AI looks like. Maybe your older students could do it as a research project. I don't know. Anyways, if you're interested in more information about what I've told you and a couple courses that I have where you can see all the lessons for free, do that at aiteachertips.com. And thank you.
He forged his strength with his own 2 hands, from a cave of fire to a hero, standing his Iron Man.